Have you ever stopped to think about how personal information about you could be seen or exploited by people online? Most people don't think twice, but your data is constantly being mined to be used against you, and hackers anywhere could be waiting for a chance to get their hands on a password or your credit card number. Protect yourself today with Virtual Shield's VPN. A VPN, or virtual private network, masks your IP address online and encrypts your data, making it nearly impossible for anybody to look at what you're sending. It's incredibly easy to use. All you do is connect through your app on your computer, phone, tablet, and it costs only dollars per month. Check the description below to learn more about Virtual Shield's VPN. What's up, everybody? Welcome. Destroying the Illusion, August 2nd, 2020. And we're doing this one live because why not? Because I got this sweet new setup. I haven't really gone live with it like this before, and I'm going to give it a shot. Maybe even do this like 2 or 3 times a week even. We'll see if I can get there. Got to try to find a time that like doesn't interfere with anybody else's live streams or something like that. But heck yeah, man. Hopefully this rolls well. I've got way too many things plugged in and way too many freaking wires and all that sort of stuff around me, but we're making it happen. So what's up, everybody? Shout out to the notification crew. Some people let me know that my notifications are working. That's good. Hope the audio's good and the video's good and everything's working well. So you let me know there in the comments. And this is our agenda that I got here on the board today. We're going to be talking Maxwell, Bill Clinton, of course, and getting to discussing some of the rallies going on around the world, not just the end human trafficking rallies that were going on over the weekend here in the U.S., but huge protests over in Germany that, of course, the mainstream media here is just trying to brush under the rug. Then we'll get to, let's see, latest censorship. I've got a lot of examples of different accounts that have been sanitized over the last few days, some censorship that I've dealt with, a pretty funny story that I'll share with you guys, and I'll let you know everybody's accounts too. A lot of people have their backup accounts that they're now using on Twitter. For instance, IET17, Joe M, a few other folks too. They're running on backup accounts, so I'll show you those, and I'll link them below in the description after this video. And then we'll get into talking latest in QAnon world, some really weird things going on. People are just totally showing their true colors or saying a bunch of weird things, making a total about face. We'll cover a lot of that infiltration here in this video. And then finish up talking a few good old subjects. Hydroxychloroquine, UFOs, TikTok. Yeah, TikTok's getting banned. Might be getting banned. And I don't use TikTok. That thing's weird. But a lot of people out there are pretty upset, although they don't realize how weird and how bad TikTok might be. So anyway, let's get into our first story. Is talking Maxwell. Let me make sure I hit the right buttons here. Where are we going? Let's go here. Bam. There we go. Now let's bring up Newsweek articles, because for some reason it seems like Newsweek has been one of the only news outlets reporting on this, or at least they were at first. Since then, few other news outlets have been reporting on it, but Newsweek is like one of the only ones. Bill Clinton went to Jeffrey Epstein's island with 2 young girls. Of course, we had the records unsealed in one of Maxwell's civil court cases last Thursday, and then everybody started combing through them and finding some really juicy stuff, like Virginia Roberts in her deposition, yes, saying that Bill Clinton, she spotted him there on Jeffrey Epstein's island with 2 young girls. And then what did Bill Clinton go and do? He, of course, denies those allegations. I did not have sexual relations on that island. Yeah. I'm sure we believe that. What's, of course, enlightening here is the fact that it was Bill Clinton's spokesperson that had to go and tell the public this thing, that he denied the allegations, when at the very same time he was, I believe, giving a eulogy at John Lewis's funeral, speaking to the public, but it was his spokesperson that had to go and put these statements out. And actually, I think I saw somewhere that people were noticing Hillary Clinton hasn't tweeted in like 3 or 4 days. Same thing as Bill Clinton since these documents dropped. So It'll be interesting when they do. Let's see here. Let's take a look at every celebrity named in the Jeffrey Epstein files. Again, Newsweek here. One of the only outlets reporting on this. They haven't been doing a very good job, I'll be honest. They throw in like a bunch of Donald Trump stuff, trying to paint him as being guilty by association with these document dumps because his name was mentioned in them. But guess what? Virginia Roberts said that, nope, she didn't see Donald Trump do any illegal stuff, any criminal stuff, any weird stuff. And seems like the mainstream media is totally glossing over that. And they're just writing, oh, Donald Trump was mentioned in these Ghislaine Maxwell docs, without, of course, the context. But anyway, let's get into some of these celebs that were named. Oh, they've got a good list here. Here we go. Prince Andrew, big surprise. Alan Dershowitz, he was on Tucker Carlson a day or two ago, trying to plead his case, trying to tell everybody nothing happened, but I don't know. I don't know if I believe him all that much. What other names do we have on here? Jean-Luc Brunel, of course. He had the modeling agency that Rachel Chandler worked for. Jean-Luc Brunel, Bill Clinton there. Naomi Campbell. Ooh, Naomi Campbell. That is, as far as they actually printed. Another name I saw that Newsweek did not say here was Matt Groening, the creator of The Simpsons. Yeah, I don't watch that show creeps me out, right? Matt Groening is probably in that club. That's how he gets all the little hints and tips as to what to put in The Simpsons, right? People are like, oh, how did The Simpsons predict the future? Well, they're probably telling Matt Groening, the names and faces we don't know in that club, they're probably telling Matt Groening what to put in The Simpsons. But anyway, I'm glad I was a King of the Hill kid. I liked King of the Hill way more than The Simpsons. Damn it, Bobby. All right, so that's enough of that. Let's see. Ooh, another name. One more name that wasn't in that list. Stephen Hawking, named in Epstein files as court asks for photos and videos. I don't want to see any photos or videos, quite frankly, that were taken on Epstein's island. Be nice if they admitted what really went on there, but I don't want to see that. Stephen Hawking, though, in his wheelchair, that's sick stuff, man. Sick stuff. Let's move on to this clip that I found on Twitter. This is amazing here. So this was posted. I found it from Benny Johnson on Twitter. Trump at the Conservative Political Action Conference, CPAC, in 2015. So this was a year before the election. He was talking about Bill Clinton, and he specifically said he's got a lot of problems coming up with the famous island with Jeffrey Epstein. That's actually what he said at CPAC in 2015. What a clip. What a clip that's surfacing right now. Crazy stuff, right? He always knows. He always knows. That's what we call military planning at its finest. Thank you. Thank you, Q, I should say. And then last article here on Ghislaine Maxwell, this one from the Washington Post, because, of course, one of the main goals of this show, of this program, is to dispel the fake news. Fact check the biased fact checkers. Someone's got to do it. Look at this. Again, before President Trump wished Ghislaine Maxwell well, they had mingled for years in the same gilded circles. That's pathetic journalism right there, missing all the context. Let's go through those facts again. Well, yes, Donald Trump ran a very ritzy, high-end club there in Palm Beach, Florida. Of course, a lot of very rich people, probably not a lot of very nice people, are going to go there and eventually take a picture with Trump. But we know guilt by association is a logical fallacy, so what are the facts? Well, Donald Trump never went to Epstein's island. Donald Trump never, let's see here, there we go, never flew on the Lolita Express. He flew on one of Epstein's planes, yes, but he flew on it, I believe, alone or with like one other person, and he flew from Florida to New Jersey. So never flew on the Lolita Express, never went to Epstein's island. And didn't he end up kicking Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago like 15 years ago? And wasn't there a prosecutor involved with that 2008 case against Jeffrey Epstein that actually said that Donald Trump was pretty much one of the only people to help him on that court case against Jeffrey Epstein? So, Washington Post, what a joke. Okay, let's move on here to discussing those rallies going on around the world, really. We'll start off with the End Human Trafficking rallies that took place in different cities here across the weekend, but there were also huge protests over in Germany against the lockdowns that are going on here. So starting off with the, let's get into these trafficking rallies. So the Great Awakening, this was a rally against human trafficking, a Save the Children rally, whatever you want to call this, but this was pretty darn huge. And it took place in locations all around the country over the weekend. Honestly, I didn't even know about it. I didn't hear about it until I started seeing these videos from these rallies appear on Twitter. And there's a big one in LA, one in Salt Lake City, I think, another in Huntington Beach, just different ones. And you can see great screenshots from it that we have there. Here's another take. This is when they actually went to CNN's headquarters in LA. This is from the LA protest. And then it says here, this is a tweet, when QAnon supporters storm the CNN building in Hollywood and chant, "Save the children." Wow. They were loud too. They got loud. And of course, CNN isn't going to report on it. You know why CNN isn't going to report on it? Because these protesters didn't deface anything. There was no vandalism. If there was any vandalism that went on there or any defacing, boom, CNN hit pieces all day long. But nope, this looked like it was totally legal and nothing illegal happened. So CNN is silent. And contrast this with the protest that took place a couple months ago in Atlanta at CNN's headquarters. Remember, right after George Floyd's murder happened. And they were spray painting CNN, F the police, curse words right there on the CNN logo, burning cop cars. There was a cop car they burned right outside CNN's headquarters. Contrast those protests with these protests. Yeah. So that's that. We need a lot more of these, don't we? We need a lot more of these all around the country. Don't stop. And check this out, too. Couple famous faces were at these protests. This one particularly in Huntington Beach. And check it out. Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz. If you've never heard of them before, they are famous UFC fighters. They fight MMA. And naturally, the only major sports players ballsy enough to show their faces and take photographs with signs that have Q and Pizzagate and where we go one, we go all on them and everything. The only major sports players ballsy enough to do that are UFC fighters. So thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Tito. Much appreciated. All the other sports players, you're seeing what's happening to the NBA and the NFL and Major League Baseball right now. It's just, they're destroying themselves with all this social justice bullshit that they're doing. It's really stupid. Now let's move on into those protests in Germany. So huge protests in Berlin, and the mainstream media here in America, they're trying to, of course, throw the cover on it. They're trying to say that only a few thousand were there, when you can see this photograph, and just this photograph is alone tens of thousands, like crazy huge protests against the lockdown. And they also were painting them as being far-right groups. They included anti-vaccine groups, but also far-right and neo-Nazi organizations. Does that look like a bunch of far-right neo-Nazis to you? I mean, they look pretty peaceful. They're not burning anything. Far-right. I didn't know there was a... I don't know. It's just weird. And there were some pretty awesome examples of truth that happened. You can see there was a Q sign here at these protests in Germany. And they were most definitely against the lockdown. Everybody there without masks. I mean, it's just... This is absolutely incredible. Like, how beautiful is this? And this is a headline, speaking of the mainstream media here in this country. This is a headline from the New York Times. This is how they called it. This was the scene in Berlin, where an estimated 17,000 people defied social distancing and mask requirements. Again, to join a protest supported by neo-Nazi groups and conspiracy theorists. Sick bastards in the mainstream media. Okay, 17,000, that's a... They love to choose that number, don't they, the mainstream media, when they're printing certain things. So you always wonder what sort of codes or messages they're using with their numbers and little phrases. Some phrases we might not even know are coded. But, oh man, I tweeted and I said, headlines like this are why we say F the New York Times. And what is beautiful about this is that I got more likes on my tweet, my retweet of theirs, than I think they got likes on their tweet period. Oh, not anymore, but it was at one point. Nevertheless, they got ratioed AF on that tweet. So, keep up the protest, guys. If you find one around your area, definitely go. I was trying to get clips from that LA End Human Trafficking rally. So now let's get into the censorship. We'll go censorship, then we'll go talking what's been going on in Q-land in recent days. So censorship that's happened lately. We're going to start off with this example that I don't think I've showed you guys yet on YouTube here, but I did tweet this. And essentially what happened is that I got an email from TeePublic. So TeePublic is a third-party shirt printing website. I got a link for swag under these videos, and some other people use TeePublic too. There's a lot of different of those third-party printers that people just load their graphics. They do all the printing and all the shipping and all that. And they take, I don't know, 70, 80% or whatever, but they give creators a small fee for being able to sell shirts on there. And so I've had shirts on there for like a year and a half now that I've had. And I got an email from TeePublic last week. They said that one of my shirt designs here was against a copyright. They said a copyright claim was filed against this particular design. It was my digital soldier design. Just says Q, where we go one, we go all, and then has hashtag QAnon at the bottom there. So that was the design. I got an email. Here's the email. And it says, Dear Jordan Sather, we're sorry to inform you that an intellectual property claim has been filed by, get this, HBO against this design of yours on TeePublic Q Digital Soldier. HBO? That was my reaction. I'm like, HBO, all it says, okay, let's go back to that. All it says is HBO right there. So I'm assuming there's no other HBO I know of other than the television company, correct? And I went through the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office website, their trademark electronic search system. I went through it for Digital Soldier, searched that term. I searched Q, I searched where we go and we go all. QAnon, of course, nothing. Nothing came up, pretty much period, but definitely nothing from HBO. And again, like, what the heck? This is just the weirdest thing. I emailed TeePublic right after they sent me this email. No response yet, so I don't know if it's that HBO, but still, like, that big company, why would they be targeting little old me and for a little old t-shirt like this? And I actually have evidence that I've had this t-shirt up since 2018. You can see, here's a screenshot from the designer that made it for me. Date modified and created October 2nd, 2018. So it's been up there for a long, long time. Here's the original artwork of it. So it seems like a totally fake, false copyright. No response from TeePublic. So WTF, man. WTF. HBO too? I don't know, man. You know what's funny? Maybe they're just butthurt because the producers for, get this, John Oliver's show on HBO, they actually emailed me like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and they asked me for comment about some of my tweets about Bill Gates and the coronavirus. So they wanted to run a hit piece and involve me in it somehow. I never responded to him. Naturally. Ain't nobody got time for that. I didn't respond to him, so I don't know. Maybe they're butthurt and went after me for this shit. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see if anything can come of it. Okay, moving on to more censorship. This one coming from No Restriction Studios and the insulting platform that committed this atrocity is Amazon. So No Restriction Studios is a production company, and a couple of years ago they put out a movie called A Child's Voice, which was a movie, I believe it was like half documentary, half acting, and it was about human trafficking and exposing how prevalent that is. So it was a movie about ending human trafficking and pedophilia. Naturally, it's called A Child's Voice, so it makes sense. Nevertheless, Amazon removed A Child's Voice completely off their platform. And ironically, this was removed at the exact same time when those tech CEOs, which included Jeff Bezos, were testifying in front of Congress a few days ago. Like, what timing? But yeah, you can't watch it. Can't watch Child's Voice anymore, so... come on, man. Come on, man. Okay, moving on. Next piece of censorship. We're sort of spanning topics here. They censor Q stuff. These tech companies censor information having to do with human trafficking, and they also go after, of course, vaccine content. YouTube removed Del Bigtree's Highwire Talk program off of their platform. Their entire channel gone, and it looks like there was no warning given, which when you usually get terminated by YouTube, trust me, I know this well. This channel's been taken down twice, and luckily I got it back twice, resurrected. But when YouTube normally takes down your channel, it's a 3 strikes you're out policy. And typically when they remove a video, you get 1 strike. So you're supposed to have 1 video removed, whether it's copyright or goes against their vague community guidelines or whatever. 1 video removed, 1 strike. Get 3 video removed, you get 3 strikes. Your channel's gone. Sounds here like YouTube was just straight targeting the Highwire channel. So that sucks. But Del Bigtree's a really smart dude. He has his Highwire Talk program streamed to Facebook every day, and they also stream it right to their website. So there are alternatives. Good for him for doing that. But just another example of COVID-19 84 in action. Of course, when they got all these vaccines to sell, right? They're all, getting their phase 3 trials, probably going for their emergency authorization soon to rush these things out to the market. They can't have any anti-vax voices putting truth out there, can they? It's some sick shit. All of this censorship is. On that same topic of COVID-19 84, the America's Frontline Doctors that have been going very viral, getting very popular for their stances on hydroxychloroquine, that video that got censored all across the net late last week, their website got taken down. Squarespace axed them. So I don't know if they have a new website or not. They might, although there's another example. We got, what platforms have we got censoring so far in this one? We got TeePublic, we got Amazon, we got YouTube, we got Squarespace. Do you see how expansive this censorship is? It's like, it doesn't matter what tech platform. As long as their HQ is in Silicon Valley, it's like they're all meeting every night, exchanging notes. Who are we going to censor next? Who's on the chopping block tomorrow morning? They got their own little censorship 4 a.m. talking points there in Silicon Valley. I don't know. Okay, now let's go through a few different accounts that have been censored off Twitter that are now there again. We've got IET17. Here's his new account. Looks like he's got it protected, smart move, but you can go and request a follow from him. Remember, he was canceled, censored last week after the Q purge on Twitter, and he had near 340,000 subscribers. And that account he had been retweeted by President Trump. It had been queued. That's a bummer that he lost that, but there's a new one. So go check it. We've got, I'm not going to tell you who this particular individual is, but you might recognize them from their profile photo or their very popular YouTube channel with their videos known as The Plan to Save the World and others. This is Joe M. It's him. Go check him out. Go follow him. It's his new account. His, 3rd or 4th. Then we've got Tommy G. Return of the G. Yeah, there he is. Tommy. He got cut too, man. Will Summer targeted him. Tommy G's He's a very aggressive dude, so he started defending himself. And of course, with the cancel culture these days, if you defend yourself, that means you're the offender. And he got canceled for that. But there's his new one you can go check him out at. And then Truth Hammer too. Truth Hammer got cut. And there's his number 2. So go follow him. Again, after this video, I'll fiddle with the description and put all those down there. So that's that, guys. Let's move back here to that screen. Speaking of which, you can go find me on Parler. I'm going to start using Parler more. Going to start using Instagram more. You know, we got to branch out to these different platforms that are available. And if you do get censored on one, it's a good idea to just make another account, tell people, hey, this is me, prove it somehow, and get them to share your account. That's how we have to keep going about this. Now, when you're on these platforms like Twitter, like Facebook, don't do things stupid. Don't take the bait on those troll replies. You know, a lot of trolls and people will just say really dumb stuff on your tweet or on your post, trying to bait you into responding. I have a pretty non-confrontational policy. Don't respond if it's just an insanely absurd account saying really crazy things. Insta-block, like no remorse, no second thought. I've probably even blocked people who are honest and well-intentioned before. I've got some messages and emails like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. And I'll go unblock them. But yeah, you just gotta keep your account safe and make sure you're doing smart things when you're on that account. And also, go check out my website too, jordansather.net. Subscribe to the emailing list that I have there because they can't censor that. Nope. So now let's get into next topic of business. Q News. Latest infiltration. We'll start off with talking about the latest mainstream media angles. There's just a couple of hit pieces that they've put out in the last 24, 48 hours. And pretty standard stuff these days. I mean, remember 2 years ago, we were so excited when we get a Q hit piece. You know, actually, speaking of which, Q likes to tell us that August is traditionally a very hot month. And it's becoming pretty traditional now. It's like a yearly thing where when August comes around, we get huge stuff happen in August. So 2 years ago in 2018, August then, was when we had the really first round of mainstream media articles all attacking Q. And if you were following Q back then, I know you remember that because it was like we woke up one day, I think it was August 8th, 6th maybe. I'm trying to remember the exact date 2 years ago, but nevertheless, August 2018, we woke up, boom, all over the news. QAnon went mainstream. I think that was the day after Trump's rally in Tampa Bay where there was a Q sign held up and it looked like Trump was smiling at it or pointed to it or something like that. So that was fun. That was 2 years ago. I see a lot of people noticing those 2-year deltas right now. They're going back to August 2018 and they're like, oh, this is like the exact same stuff. So they're thinking it's a 2-year delta, but I have to be reminding people, I'm like, no, remember 2 years ago we had that happen. So context is key when it comes to Q's drops. Last year, August 2019, of course, was Epstein when he mysteriously somehow probably didn't kill himself. Honestly, I think the White Hats got him. They probably took what they needed from him and then let everybody believe he committed suicide in a jail cell because that's a beautiful way to wake people up. But whatever happened, that was last August, so we'll see what happens this August. So let's get here into, boom, starting off with these mainstream media narratives. So this one from CNN. And when you find a hit piece or an article in the mainstream media, typically you're going to find the exact same article elsewhere. They get their news wires, and that's why you get 20, 30 mainstream media outlets printing the exact same thing on the exact same day. It's their 4 a.m. talking points, right? And the talking point that the mainstream media got with QAnon over the weekend was, it's a baseless U.S. conspiracy theory finding a foothold in Europe. New research shows how. Okay. Again, anytime you see the words baseless, unsubstantiated, or evidence-free in a mainstream media article, just turn that around like 180 degrees. $10 says they use those exact words in this article. Ooh, there's a baseless claim there. There's baseless again. Oh yeah, there we go. Let's see here. Yeah, we can keep going through it. But anyway, they love those words. It's their little neuro-linguistic programming that they do. They set you up with the context before they even give you the, of course, twisted information. Yeah, I'm sure it's finding a foothold in Europe. It's finding a foothold all around the world. Silly people. Let's see here. This one. Twitter cracked down on QAnon. This one's from Forbes. But candidates touting the conspiracy still thrive there. Still thrive there. And this is typically what they do in the mainstream media, is that if there are accounts that they, the deep state, the cabal, whoever they even are, when there's accounts they want to censor, they'll get the mainstream media to print something about them that's a smear piece that makes them look bad. So they get the media to write something about them, which then gives an excuse, right? The plausible deniability for the platform, whether it's Twitter or Amazon or Facebook. It'll give them the reason to then censor them, and they can make it all look nice and neat and like it's done in the greater good for the best interests of you and me to censor this person, but it's typically what they do. So they are likely targeting the congressional candidates, the potential politicians that are on Twitter, that are running for office, but also have hinted and or just outright supported QAnon. Naturally what they're doing here in the mainstream media. And let me just say, okay? So I think more than half, at least more than half, and this is what I think, but a lot of these potential politicians, I guess we'll call them, or people running for office that also claim to be QAnon supporters, I honestly think most of them are probably controlled opposition. They're probably shills. I know I've definitely seen at least a couple who somehow have a blue check mark on Twitter. They say they're running for office, and then I go and look at their Twitter timeline, and it's the most asinine shit. Like, seriously, it's weird. They end up being maybe a JFK Jr. person or like a flat earther, or talking about Nazara, or like all this weird stuff that's way too far out into left field to be an actual honest person seeking office. Like, you can kind of tell that they're in the movement to make it look crazy. They're running for office just to get some notoriety and get some media articles printed about them, right? So be careful. Be very, very careful who you follow. And that is most definitely evidenced by who we're about to get into, which I mean Kevin Shipp, obviously. But first, let's talk about Tim Pool. Yeah, Tim Pool. So, Tim Pool, nice fella. I haven't really looked too much into his work or anything like that, but somebody sent me this video of his that he uploaded yesterday, and around the 13-minute mark, I think it was about right here, he starts talking about QAnon, actually. And I don't know if this is the first time he's ever talked about QAnon, but he definitely discusses it here, and he does a pretty poor job with it, and also with Pizzagate, because he alludes to these things being, if you can see the closed captions I have right there, he's saying that people who just make things up for profit, he's basically talking about the Q community, it's people who make things up for profit. He says anybody following Q pretty much believes all this stuff. He's calling it garbled mumbo jumbo. He said there's a huge map about it, and I know I've seen them mention interdimensional things or whatever. So we'll talk about the map issue in a sec here when we talk about Kevin Shipp, because what a coincidence. They're both trying to discredit Q through these maps that aren't associated with Q at all. So there's a problem with Tim Pool's thinking right there. Those maps that you see like hanging on people's walls, there's big versions of them. They're flowcharts. There's a couple versions going around, actually. They're made by two separate people. They're their personal art projects. They have nothing to do with Q, okay? Q has not posted them, linked them, anything. So get that through your thick skull, Tim Pool and Kevin Ship. So there's his first problem. Second problem is that obviously he has no idea what he's talking about. It's like, don't you freaking love this or hate it? We got these people in the alternative media who might be well-intentioned. Tim Pool might be a great guy. I don't know him. Can't say. I've never met him. But they act like authorities. They act like they're so damn smart talking about these things just because, I don't know, they're like talking heads for the public. They have YouTube channels and like a lot of followers. I don't know, but something is getting to their egos and they think they know everything and then come out with just their it's like painful how wrong they are. I mean, shoot. Why don't they just either study it for themselves or ask somebody who study it? But nope. Anyway, hey, Tim Pool, if you ever want somebody to come on your podcast who knows a thing or two about Q and can educate you and your friends there and your audience, I'd be more than happy to do it. Got no problems with your podcast. So there's that. Now let's move on into somebody who I'm beginning to have somewhat of a problem with, honestly, because they just can't shut up. And that person is Kevin Ship. And he's acting like a total crazy person. He's just acting like a crazy person. He won't stop. Now, I mentioned this in, I think, a video I uploaded like last week. If you remember when he started going kind of anti-Q. He was posting all these things on his Twitter account. He even claimed that Q was a psyop, but now it's returning with legitimate posts. And I think one tweet he made said that he got this intel from Corsi. Ha! Yeah, as if InfoWars is going to be all up to speed on the latest and greatest with their insiders. Oh, God. Bad stuff. Anyway, Kevin Ship was at it again. I wish I could show you all the examples of the tweet that Kevin Ship was making on his Twitter account this morning that were totally anti-Q and totally just word salad, like psychobabble stuff. No evidence for what he was saying, and he didn't even explain it. But of course, again, like he did last week, he deleted all those tweets. There was a lot of them. I don't have them available in front of me, but I do have a couple screenshots because the internet is forever. And I was able to get a couple of these screenshots. So let me show you what Kevin Ship was saying, all right? And this gets into that map conversation that I was discussing. So this is one tweet. I think Kevin Ship posted this late last night. There was a few others he posted in the morning here. Kevin Ship, a few people in the comments are saying they've never seen this guy. Kevin Ship was in Out of Shadows, that documentary that came out a couple of months ago, speaking about all of the pedophilia in Hollywood and DC, and it discussed Pizzagate a little bit. Q even linked it. Remember, they called it the best documentary of the year? Well, a lot of people are pissed off, and they're really wondering what the hell Kevin Ship is doing because, again, he's just like totally turning against Q. Not that he was really for Q in the first place. He never discussed it all that much. But the way he is going against Q now and the amount, like it doesn't seem natural. If he put out one or two posts to say an opinion of his, I'd be like, okay, fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Some people are against Q for whatever reason. All right. But the fact that it's over and over and over again, it's to a point where Kevin Ship is even tweeting that, okay, this is the last tweet I make on Q. And then an hour later, he puts out a few more tweets attacking Q. It's like, it just does not seem natural. So, I don't know. I get the feeling of some kind of compromise going on here. I feel like Kevin Ship has been compromised. Have no idea what or why, but that's just what I'm thinking. And as you can see here, let's go through this tweet that's just got roasted. I mean, check out that ratio. 1,500 replies on this tweet, 500 likes. It's probably why he's deleting all his tweets, because this dude is just getting roasted. I won't lie, I've played a part in the roasting a little bit. Sorry, man, but you're just saying really dumb stuff. So check this out. He says, it appears Q is a false New Age awakening, and many others, including Christians, have no idea. When I sat for Out of Shadows, I had no idea and was not told that many of those involved in promoting the film were avid Q devotees. Had I known, I wouldn't have participated. Well, do you not research who you're filming with? And you also filmed with Liz Crokin. If you do, like literally it takes maybe 2 minutes of research to go onto Liz Crokin's profiles, like either her Facebook or her Instagram, and find that she is an avid Q devotee. I can't imagine going into any sort of movie project and not doing the basic research on who the hell I'm going to be in the project with. Oh, geez. Honestly, I don't think Kevin Shipp is creating these narratives. I think they're being fed to him because he does not seem this dumb. I'll just say that. These are really, really dumb things to say and do, and claim he's saying and doing. I don't know. I don't feel like he's writing these narratives. But anyway, okay. So there's that. He's also calling it a false New Age awakening and then posts this map under it. Speaking of this map, here's another tweet he made. There were like 10 of them, all with this map in them. It's ridiculous. This next tweet, Q's, quote, great awakening is not what you think. It resembles a New Age-like belief that a collective consciousness will take down the deep state and the cabal. Who said that? Who? See, again, these guys are acting like frickin' authorities. Okay? Now, okay. I'll play devil's advocate. I'm pretty, intense on the internet. I won't lie, especially on Twitter. When people say dumb stuff, I don't care. I'll call them out for it. Even if I know people out there aren't going to really understand why I'm doing the things I'm doing and call them out, but I do it. And then a lot of people, the ones who don't understand why I might be putting a person or an account on blast for misinformation they're spreading, they look at me like I'm the asshole and I'm the one creating the division and whatever the case. And okay, whatever, that's fine. But this stuff needs to be called out, folks. Right? Doesn't it? When just such brazen misinformation is put out, it needs to be called out. And that's not me being an authority. People like to project and go, don't act like an authority. I'm not acting like an authority. I'm just asking the questions that other people don't want to ask because they have their false idols they just love to hold on to. So we don't do that projection around here. This is weird stuff. No, to say it's a New Age-like belief system that a collective consciousness will take down the deep state and a cabal, nobody's ever said that. It's the most ridiculous thing you could ever say. It's contrary to the book of Revelation and the Bible. Beware, don't be a sheep. Sounds like Kevin Shipp is being a sheep here. He's sinking his own ship, really. And, I mean, I think most logical, critical thinkers out there can agree that there's a lot of fake information, like false claims in almost every community or every group. We know in religion for thousands of years they've been feeding us misinformation, but there's also pieces of truth within that world. You just got to kind of dig it up, right? Same thing with the New Age. Trust me, there's a lot of bullshit in New Age world, but there's some pieces of truth here and there threaded within it too, right? And the point of this Great Awakening is to figure out where the truth is among all the communities, and we got to get rid of that bullshit that's on the top of it. To say Q is a New Age belief system, totally false. We know they've posted Bible quotes before saying God wins. I mean, God isn't really Christian per se. You can believe in God no matter what you label yourself or call your faith. And then Q has also posted some pretty New Agey things, like talking about a New Age of enlightenment or posting an Above and Beyond song that's pretty... It was a song that sounded like binaural beats, actually. So it's why don't we all just come together? Why do we got to be little dividers like this and throw labels on things? And okay, let's talk about this map. all right? This map that Kevin has in these tweets here, that map that Tim Pool also referenced. This map, again, is not made by Q. This particular map was made by a dude named Champ. Yes, his name was Champ. I met him. I met him at a Disclosure Fest event in 2018, a couple of years ago. I actually uploaded a video on this YouTube channel talking to the creator of this map. And it is his personal rendition on the Great Awakening based upon his own research. So there's a lot of keywords and things in this little flowchart that just come from him. They don't come from Q. So that goes to show you if Kevin Ship is trying to attack and discredit Q based upon this map that has nothing to do with Q, well, again, that's some really bad misinformation. That's like amateur hour. He's just, really, Kevin Ship is making this so easy for us to go after him with. And there's another map out there too that's was made by an individual named Dylan Monroe. Dylan's kind of gone crazy, I'll be real. Did that about a year ago, and now he channels Q or like Q entities and posts that to his Instagram, and I don't know, he kind of fell off. But again, another person that made a map that was a personal art project that was their own rendition that has nothing to do with Q. So, be careful who you follow, folks. There's one right there. And, oh, here we go. So this is Champ's Facebook or Instagram page. The individual that made that Great Awakening map. You can see there, greatawakening.map.co. So, that's his page. That's not Q. Q didn't make that map. He's got nothing to do with it. And, let's see. I also had, okay, let's move on. So that's enough of Ship. That's enough of him. And just, it'd be better if he honestly stopped tweeting about Q at this point, but he just can't stop doing it, so I'm going to keep reporting on it. But now let's move on into, you guys might have guessed it, Austin Steinbart. And let's first get into, so, okay, here's the thing. It's getting really weird with Steinbart because it's like a new day, a new person falls, like makes a horrible mental mistake. I've been calling them mental fumbles. It's like what they are. People just dropping the ball mentally. And a new day, it's like a new person goes Team Steinbart, and it's the weirdest thing. So, first example that we have here from the last few days is Awakening Greatly, which is a really big bummer because I was a huge fan of this account. And again, another account that recently got queued. They got queued for a YouTube video called Ask the Q. This is their, let me get to their YouTube page here. Here's Awakening Greatly. Here's their YouTube channel. I think YouTube actually censored the one that Q linked, so it's not on their list anymore. But it was like 2 or 3 months ago. It's pretty recent. You probably remember that if you've been following Q. But check this. This tweet from July 31st. Lots of opinions on Austin Steinbart, so I thought I'd quote research for myself. And with QAnon's increasing presence in the mainstream media, no better time to quote Ask the Q. Weird. A really big bummer. I was actually donating to them on Patreon because I really liked their stuff, so I signed up on Patreon with them. And every video they dropped, I linked it, but nope, I ain't sharing this one. And I'm sorry, guys, I had to delete that Patreon support after this one because that is, oof, that's bad. This is the video here. Check out that ratio of likes to dislikes, and there it is. I mean, somehow they even got like sit-down interview footage of Steinbart. You can see there, that's what it looks like. What the heck? How'd they get that footage? And they whipped this up pretty quick to put it out, so. Bummer. Next one, let's get into Antoine Tucker, Montaga on Instagram and on Twitter. And another big bummer too, because this dude was cool, man. You might have seen him from getting a video retweeted by President Trump not too long ago. This video here, he was talking about Trump and the political situation. It got retweeted. You can see there 6 million views. So that's awesome, man. A lot of people saw this video. Huge fans of his. He's running for Congress too. One of those. Running for Congress in the same district as AOC. So that's sort of the platform that he's running on. He's running there in New York's 14th district to defeat AOC. All right. Cool, man. But then again, here come the mental fumbles. And this dude actually, over the weekend, or late last week, took a flight out to Phoenix to see Austin Steinbart and his crew. There's the pic. There is the pic. They're all trying to look real hard. There's some gangsters right there. You like how Austin Steinbart's polo is like up to the top? I don't think I've ever seen a gangster wear a polo like that. But anyway. Yeah, man. Who the heck knows what this dude was thinking? And here's the pattern, right? So all these people say that they're doing the research and finding the evidence, but or when the Steinbart cult crew, it's really like a culty vibe that they're forming around themselves. When they want to go after you, or you're sort of exposing them on Twitter, this is what they always say, okay, you got to look at the evidence. Just look at the evidence. And it's like, dude, the evidence is out there. It's been out there since March. I don't know why. They think that I've never done an ounce of research into Austin Steinbart. When he first started posting his videos in March and April, and then, of course, around the court case that happened, I did a full video examining that. No, I've done plenty of research. It's all out there in the public domain already. Just go to his Twitter. Go to his YouTube. Yeah, look at the research. And you'll easily see it's bullshit. And then they get really desperate. And they're like, just debate. Just debate Austin. Yeah, just debate him. It's like that. That is a sign of desperation. That is not you maintaining the upper hand in this. They're trying to get into the debate so they can, and I've done that before. Like I did a debate with a dude named H.A. Goodman a year or two back, if you're familiar with him. And it was a debate about QAnon. And what he ended up trying to do was lawyer me into a specific response. He kept saying the exact same thing over and over again. He wanted me to essentially like say that I was explicitly positive that Q is legit or something that opened me up to where he could take an angle against me. He was trying to lawyer me, and I wasn't having that. I ended up just leaving the conversation. So why would a debate with Austin Steinbart be productive in any way, shape, or form? Because, number one, what would be being debated? That's what I don't get. All of them always say, just debate Austin, just debate Austin. I'm like, what are we debating? There's nothing to debate, first of all. Second of all, why give the publicity or the attention or waste the time there? They'll go, oh, you must be scared to do it. Don't you love those narcissistic projectors out there? You're scared. Nah, dog. It's just a waste of freaking time on some parasites that really don't deserve the time wasted on them. So, anyway, Antoine, man, I hope you're for real, like well-intentioned, because it looks here that you're just dropping the ball, man. I'm sorry. And again, I'll be more than happy to come on like Instagram with you or anything to talk and explain this stuff, because that's weird. Okay. And then, so I think that's all we have on the Steinbarters. People going Team AS all the way. One last thing on that. Found this interesting. So apparently so Austin's got this like weird team around him working media and production, all that stuff. It's weird. There was a chick who called herself Austin's chief of staff. Right, yeah, she was her chief of staff. Well, anyway, Sabrina, her name is, she announced on Twitter, hello Twitterverse, I'm taking this opportunity to formally announce that I stepped down as Austin Steinbart's chief of staff on, I guess, a couple weeks ago. But she's focusing on herself, whatever reasons. That's funny. I wonder what sort of stuff's going on inside the Steinbart crew there. But that's an intriguing development. I must say. So that's all we got on. That's all we got on this time bar. Let's move on now to hydroxychloroquine and HCQ. I actually got to get that back up there. There we go. So here's the tweet. She's taken this opportunity to formally announce she stepped down. Bummer. We'll see where that leads, if anywhere. Okay, now let's get to hydroxychloroquine. So, I don't need to say much about it. Everybody else has already said a lot about it. Honestly, probably too much about it. I personally think that a lot of people are viewing hydroxychloroquine as like the savior pill, the end-all be-all for everything. It's decalcifying our pineal gland now, and it's like a vaccine. It's like it's gonna cure cancer in everybody, so let's all just take it. And I'm not thinking that. I don't view really anything, especially pills, as being a type of savior for us in and of themselves. But no doubt, I mean, just with what hydroxychloroquine is doing, it's totally exposing the fake news because they're printing crap like this about it. Researchers published scathing critique of a hydroxychloroquine study touted by the White House. It's exposing the fake news. It's also exposing the fake science, which is great because we know there's a load of fake science in medicine, especially. Not just medicine, it's everywhere. It's every subject that the universities teach, but especially in medicine, there's a lot of fake science there. We know that. This hydroxychloroquine situation is proving that to the mainstream public. So that's great. Hydroxychloroquine is from the evidence that's out there that we do have, that the mainstream media won't report on, it does look like a very viable option to treat COVID and work far better than other things that are out there on the market now. So, yeah, man, hydroxychloroquine exposing the fake news. It's exposing the fake science, big medicine, big pharma. It's good stuff. And more fake news, BS about it. HCQ, scientists say it's time to stop promoting the drug. It's time to stop trying to find a potential treatment for this pandemic that has us all in this damn lockdown. It's basically destroying people's lives. Let's just stop promoting it. Shit, man. It's crazy, crazy stuff. So, there's that on HCQ. Now I want to talk about something else that's also a potential treatment that we could be using, but we're not because of some very corrupt industries out there, and that's chlorine dioxide. Every time I talk hydroxychloroquine or that comes out in the public consciousness, I'm definitely going to try to squeeze in some info about chlorine dioxide in there because it's, there's not just one treatment that the deep state is trying to censor into oblivion right now in hydroxychloroquine. There's not just one potential treatment. There are dozens and dozens of things we could be using to treat COVID, really get rid of it, that we could have been using since the beginning, that are all really, really cheap, and that all Big Pharma is just lying about, fake news is lying about, and Big Pharma is censoring it. So right here, CNN, lawmakers push toxic disinfectant as COVID-19 treatment in Bolivia. Yes, Bolivia has approved their government chlorine dioxide as a treatment there for COVID. So naturally, fake news in America is going to attack it and against the health ministry's warnings there in Bolivia, because there's sort of a civil war going on. I mean, really in a lot of countries right now, not just in America, but shadow civil wars going on. You have like opposition populist parties that are gaining more power that the old guard is trying to snuff out and stifle. Same thing's happening in Bolivia. But anyway, their government there, against their health ministry's recommendations, because their health ministry is like our Dr. Fauci pretty much, didn't want them passing the chlorine dioxide resolution and using it, but they did. So, that's happening. And like I've been saying, that's been happening in a lot of big Spanish-speaking countries around the world. Chlorine dioxide is huge in Latin America and other Spanish-speaking countries. So I found this article 2 days ago out of a Costa Rican news agency, actually. So it's interesting to see, to research this from America from an English perspective and how different Spanish-speaking countries in Latin America are trying to put the snuff on chlorine dioxide there. They say, please don't take it or drink it, health ministry says. And this is a mainstream media outlet from Costa Rica, right? So they're just trying to prevent it from spreading to more countries. And the reason why it's so popular in Latin America countries is because they're broke. They don't have the infrastructure or the money that a Western country like us has, so they're reaching for the cheaper, easier to get alternatives, which chlorine dioxide is one right there. So, HCQ works, yes. I saw somebody say in the comments, and a lot of other things work too. And quite honestly, depending on the situation, other compounds might work better than hydroxychloroquine too. I gotta say that. I'm sorry. I know hydroxychloroquine's great and it's doing a lot of things, but we also have to be real about it, not get caught up in the emotion of the savior pill. And hydroxychloroquine does have its drawbacks. It does. You need a big facility to manufacture it. You got to manufacture the synthesize chemically the raw materials for it. So it's cheap to produce per pill, but you get a poor country like Bolivia that doesn't have big factories there to produce the raw materials for it. They can't do it. Okay, so again, depending on where you're at in the situation, there's different things you might want to, pros and cons to each. So let's move on here to one last thing on hydroxychloroquine, because this segues us nicely into Dr. Fauci, that Yale epidemiologist, the one who wrote that op-ed in Newsweek last week, is saying that Dr. Fauci is running a misinformation campaign against HCQ. And that's obvious to see. I mean, don't we have that article? I don't have it in front of me or able to link, but we know that Fauci, or at least his researchers, 15 years ago, they were doing studies on chloroquine and coronavirus-type viruses. So Fauci's researchers knew that chloroquine, yes, had a positive effect against coronavirus-type viruses. We know that, but 15 years later, Fauci acts like he doesn't know it. And just being a fool, man. Did you see Jim Jordan just rake him across the coals in front of Congress the other day? We've had a lot of pretty intense interviews, meetings in front of Congress. Attorney General Barr laying the smack down in front of all the crazy Democrats earlier in the week. But Jim Jordan pressing Fauci hard because he was trying to get a talking point from Fauci. You could see it where he was pressing Fauci about the fact that we got all these protests out there. And when the protests go on, they don't care about the masks. No one says anything. But then in any other circumstance, when it's not one of these super social justice protests, well, you get like 5 people together and you got to arrest them for no masks. So he was trying to get Fauci to be a hypocrite on the record. But Fauci was trying to dance around the question, of course. So nevertheless, that was bad. Fauci just looking like a fool. And now moving on into TikTok, okay? Let's talk TikTok. Trump saying is going to ban it through an executive action. And most people out there don't care because they don't use TikTok. The only people who do care aren't old enough to vote for Donald Trump. So really, this is not going to harm his election potential in any way. So that's probably why he's doing it now. But also, it's because of the fact that, well, India just banned TikTok. And that is a fact that a lot of people in this particular country don't know. They think Trump's just doing it on a whim, but they don't realize that other countries have actually already just done it, like India, and Trump is just following suit. And the reason he's banning TikTok is because, of course, all the backdoor spyware abilities. It's basically, the CIA is using Facebook and Twitter to collect data for their own accord. CIA, DARPA, others. China's doing that with TikTok. That's their way they're doing it. So it gets banned here. Big deal, right? Great. All the kids now have to go play outside. Big bummer. I think the collective IQ level of this country, especially the younger generations in this country, just rose a few percentage points. So, I mean, you could still access it too. You just get a VPN, right? You can still get on TikTok. You just won't be able to download it through iTunes and whatnot. But anyway, screw TikTok. I tried to download it and play around with it for a split second one day, and it was so confusing, and it like force feeds these videos in front of you. I don't know. It's weird. Wasn't my thing. I couldn't stand it. Although I want to show you the ACLU's take. Then we'll move on to our last two topics here. ACLU. Banning an app like TikTok, which millions of Americans use to communicate with each other. It sounds like they're inferring that that's the only way Americans communicate. Like, oh, we need TikTok because that's the way millions of people communicate with each other, as if they couldn't just get out of TikTok and then pull up Instagram or Twitter and something and send a DM that way. Anyway, banning an app like TikTok is a danger to free expression and technologically impractical. Danger to free speech. So when Facebook censors content, YouTube censors content, which they've been doing for years, Twitter censors all these profiles, Amazon, Squarespace, TeePublic, I've been censored by PayPal, MailChimp, we can keep going. Not a word from the ACLU, but they got everything to say when Trump tries to ban TikTok. Technologically impractical, can't say that word. Impractical, not really. You just executive order, bans it off the platforms. I mean, we saw how the Q app got banned, don't we? Seems really practical to me. Seems like a piece of cake for iTunes to ban an app. Oh, God. ACLU. What a joke. What a joke. Okay. Last two things. James Murdoch stepping down from News Corp that Rupert Murdoch owns, also the owner of Fox News. And James Murdoch, Rupert Murdoch's son, is stepping down from the board over editorial disagreements. That looks like pretty big news to me, because Fox News, of course, we know Trump has some friends in Fox News, but also goes after them from time to time because Fox News still prints a lot of fake news. I would say left-wing media, like 100% of the time, is twisting the story for some reason. Fox News is like 80% of the time. Really, it's only like a couple names you can trust on their network. The rest just suck. Their website even prints some, they toe the line. They toe the propaganda. More often than not quite as much as left-wing news, but it does. Then you have the alternative media out there that's like, the amount of fake in that community depends on how much you've researched it, but there's a lot of fake. More real, of course, in the mainstream media. Well, James Murdoch having disagreements and then resigning, maybe he's upset at how Rupert Murdoch is printing propaganda. Maybe. Could be pissed off at his own dad or something like that. Who knows? But a family feud happening there. We'll see if any changes happen to Fox News. Not expecting much, but it'd be nice to get, somebody from the mainstream media reporting the truth once in a while, right? And now let's move on into UFOs. So speaking of the mainstream media and how they're not reporting the truth, I don't know how the heck people keep seeing this in the mainstream media and think that there's no ulterior motive here or no ulterior agenda with what they're printing. So yeah, that whole huge mainstream push that is getting a little more viral, a little more people curious about what's going on with it. And again, it's not coming from the white hats or the official Pentagon disclosures. It's not an official Pentagon disclosure. This whole thing that's going on is being done by the fake news media. It's being done with people associated with Tom DeLonge's organization, like this guy on the screen here on the right. His name's Chris Mellon. The guy that this gentleman used to, his name's Chris Mellon. and being a Mellon, yeah, he's a part of that Mellon banking family that's really, is it Philly? I think that they have a lot of power in. It's either Philadelphia or Pittsburgh, one of those cities in Pennsylvania. But yeah, long time, old money family. They did stuff with the Carnegies and Rockefellers too. So I don't know if I'm going to trust that. He's on CNN, second of all. I don't know if I'm going to trust that. And third of all, Chris Mellon here, the guy associated with Tom DeLonge's UFO research group. He used to be a staffer for Jay Rockefeller. For a Rockefeller. A few some odd years ago in Congress. Maybe like 10, 15 years ago. So yeah, there's just all sorts of shady connections, throwing up red flags. And coming out with their same narratives. They're saying the Pentagon will release new information surrounding UFO encounters. Well, what's happening is that the Senate Intelligence Committee, which is headed by Mark Warner, who is an avid pro-Russia conspiracy theorist. Like he keeps saying that Trump colluded with Russia. He's one of those. He's a Democrat. Then we got Marco Rubio, who's the other head of that committee. And he's a Republican, but a lot of people really don't trust that guy. And I think he is a rhino, Republican in name only. So essentially, yes, we have the Senate Intelligence Committee, and what they did is they wrote this little section into the NDAA, into the military spending bill that I don't know if it got voted on yet or it's going to be voted on, but nevertheless, they wrote this little section into this bill that establishes a UAP task force, or like a task force that's going to be collecting these sightings and then figuring out ways to tell Congress and maybe tell the public about them. So this is being done, like I said, by Mark Warner and Marco Rubio. Are we going to trust these guys? Sounds like swamp folk trying to make it seem like it's not being, like it's disclosure in our best interest, right? And then you think back 3 years ago, well, what was the news organization that put out those UFO videos? Oh, that was the New York Times. Remember that? Yep. So I'll go into this whole situation a lot more in depth with this whiteboard here in a video coming out in a couple of days, because it's a very long, complicated story. There's a lot of connections and whatnot. But with that being said, just look at the timing of it. Why now? Why are they disclosing all this UFO stuff now? Look at who's doing it. Oh, we've got folks associated with Tom DeLonge's research group, folks that who knows if they're that trustworthy themselves. Tom DeLonge. Why was Tom DeLonge emailing with John Podesta way back when? Like, what's that all about? Yeah. We got those kind of swamp folk invested in this. So it's a whole limited hangout, like partial disclosure psyop, guys. And the narratives they're bringing forth, that this is the only UFO program the Pentagon has, and it, the technology that we have in this country, we can't do those things that we have on video. We don't have any UFO-like technologies, which is probably BS. So anyway, I'll stop ranting on that and finish up with one last article here. That is NASA astronauts returning from the ISS splashdown in that SpaceX capsule. Cool, great. But point being here is that NASA and SpaceX have never been at the forefront of advanced space research and development in this country. And yes, I even said NASA because this goes way back. I didn't do that. That's what I meant to do. Sorry, I'm still learning the buttons and the hotkeys on this computer. So there we go. There's the article. NASA astronauts splash down in the SpaceX capsule. So, like I said, the real advanced space tech has been kept in the military corporate black projects. When I say military/corporate, it's basically like they're not owned by the Air Force or the Navy. They might have a few people in the Air Force and Navy working with the corporations on these things, but they're all read in on these very secret programs. The corporations really are where they're held because they can keep things a lot more secret there. Corporations can't be FOIA'd like the government can. So corporations, the defense contractors, such as Lockheed, such as Boeing, such as TRW, these contractors that have been around since the 50s and 60s, and then all consolidated and under different names now. Like Boeing used to be called Douglas Aircraft, McDonnell Douglas. Now it's Boeing. Their black projects, these corporations, is where the real advanced R&D is. And the reason why they keep it so secret is because they're not using rocket propulsion, guys. They're not using what SpaceX and NASA have always been selling to the public. NASA and SpaceX and whatever's sold to the public, right? It's all rocket technology. It's like ancient propulsion systems our grandpas were using. The stuff they keep secret, the reason they keep it secret is purely for profit, power, and control. And that's that. So anyway, a lot more of this in future videos, guys. I'll get into that space topic. So let's see here. Let's bring up this chat and we'll finish up. Boom. What's up, everybody? What's happening? I wish you guys could give me super chats, but bummer. YouTube totally demonetized this channel. Like, not just a demonetized videos. They give me a yellow little symbol, but they totally took this channel off their partner program. So, bummer. No more monetization, but appreciate all you guys for watching these videos. Those of you who have signed up on Patreon, too. I'm going to start doing a weekly podcast on Patreon on Tuesday evenings. So, it'll be like a weekly check-in. We'll converse, talk about latest news, whatever. You can sign up and get access to that, a few other exclusives there. So shout out, thank you. And we'll keep on working. You know, it really makes me laugh when people call QAnon folks grifters or say that they're making stuff up for money or use one of those excuses to discredit it. It's really, really pathetic. Because I'm sitting here like, man, if I didn't talk about Q and information associated with it and just wanted to make puff videos, I would still have my PayPal account. I would still have this channel monetized. I wouldn't have had it terminated twice. I can't make any promotions on my Facebook page anymore. I have a Facebook page of 50,000 people that Facebook has completely denied me any ability to make promoted posts on it or boost posts because they say my page has been found to go against community guidelines, or they said my page was sharing misinformation too much. So they totally denied my ability to promote anything on it. I can make posts, I just can't boost them. So, yeah. QAnons are grifters looking for money. Bullshit. So, anyway, thank you all for watching on this stream, for tuning in here. We'll do this again, like I said, like once or twice a week. I may even find a specific day and time to do it every week, and I'll let you guys know when that is. But wonderful chat, and I'll get more into the comments too in future video. A few questions here. When is my series on Edge of Wonder going to start? Hopefully I'll have the first few episodes on there within like the end of August. Let's shoot for that. The end of August, and the first few episodes are going to be on MMS, on chlorine dioxide, because I can say things there that I can't say here. So there's that, and then yeah, we'll just end it there. Appreciate you guys. Remember, check the description below. Follow on all those social media places that you also have. Subscribe to the newsletter on my website. And take care, everybody. Have a good one.